Alright, it's midnight. You're walking home from a bar and coming towards you is a guy with a bad limp and he's carrying grocery bags and he's struggling and he looks at you as if to say, can you help me out? What do? See, most people would give him a hand because they think they're being nice. I'm telling you, you could possibly be interviewing for a crime. Here's why. I spent a year homeless living on the streets and I witnessed this multiple times. Street predators don't care about your size, they care about your psychology. Here's 5 tactics street predators use to choose their victims so you'll know what to look for and you'll know how to protect yourself and stay safe. Predators watch your walking stride to see if it's asymmetrical or lacks fluidity. To a predator, someone with an awkward gait signals a lack of assurance and lack of self-awareness. To them, someone who appears to lack physical coordination or has low confidence can be marked as a low-effort target or someone who won't fight back. I got jumped, I got held up at knife point until one day I realized I gotta walk with authority, keep my head on a swivel, and ultimately be aware of my surroundings because the moment came when I had to fight back and I chose to fight back, and that was the last time anyone messed with me. The number one way to prevent this from happening to you is walk with purpose. Don't just wander around. If you have nowhere to go, act like you know where you're going. Never walk with your head down. You want to keep your shoulders square, your eyes on a swivel. Never hold eye contact too long, but always make it and let them know, hey, I see you, I clock you. You're not going to get away with something surprised on me. Even if you are afraid, you never show it because they live off of fear. And if they see you're not afraid of them, they'll move on to the next one. A young woman's walking back to her dorm room after a night on the town. There's a man with his arm in a cast trying to open the door of his Volkswagen Beetle, but he keeps dropping the keys. He's a good-looking guy. He's got puppy dog eyes. He looks at the woman and asks for help, but for some reason, the woman gets a really bad feeling and just decides to ignore him and moves on. Well, months later, this woman sees Ted Bundy on the news arrested for using that same tactic to abduct and murder women in the Pacific Northwest. The false vulnerability lure is one of the main tactics predators use to rope people in and take advantage of them. If you're a human and you have a conscience, you are hardwired to help people. That's what makes us unique. We have the capacity for empathy. When we see someone in need, we want to do what we can to help them. That's human nature. Predators know this and they take full advantage of that. Here's what you got to understand about predators. They don't play by normal people's rules. They will use every biological, physiological aspect that makes us humans against us to get what they want and get what they need. There's 2 types of predators in this world. The ones that want something that we have, then there's the ones that just want to inflict as much harm as they can. They don't care who it is, they just want to hurt people. Both of them are dangerous. Both of them use different mechanisms. However, they all look for the same things. Playing on someone's vulnerability is a classic tactic. The way you protect yourself from this is to keep at least a 20-foot radius around yourself. If you don't know who they are, they don't enter into that zone. You don't let them. If you think they might be legitimate but you're not sure, offer to call help for them. Don't go in blind offering to save the day for them. That's exactly what they want you to do. Chances are it's probably not a serial killer, but do you really want to take that chance? In a famous study by Grayson and Stein, researchers showed convicted muggers videos of pedestrians on the street. They asked them, which one of these pedestrians were you most likely to offend on? Surprisingly or unsurprisingly, depending on how you look at it, most of the convicted muggers picked the exact same people. What was their response? The person's gait, their stride, and the perceived weakness they derived from that based on how someone carried themselves. Now this next one is really subtle, really sneaky, and I saw it used many times on the streets. The predator will create a polite accident like bumping into you or spilling a drink on you to force an interaction. Human manners and decency on average anchor us into a situation for 10 seconds while we decide if we should let them buy us another drink, say it's no big deal. And that's a good thing. That means you have a conscience and you're a good person. The problem is in those 10 seconds, the predator is sizing you up and determining if you're someone they can take advantage of, because that's all the time they need. Think about it like this. You're in a bar, a guy bumps into you, spills your drink. He says, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me buy you another one. You hesitate. You think, oh, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to be a dick to him. Should I? That split second where you hesitate and you're asking yourself those questions, he knows he's got you on the hook. So he pushes harder. Look, no big deal. I'm gonna go get you a drink. I'll be right back. You don't want to cause a scene. You don't want to make him mad. So you say, okay, no big deal. It's just one drink. He shows back up, gives you your drink and says, hey, no big deal. My bad. Have a good night. What you don't realize though is he puts something in your drink and he's waiting in the corner for the moment you start to get groggy, and he's gonna follow you outside and take advantage of of you. That happened all the time when I was on the streets. Dealers would purposely give someone the wrong bag of dope just to say, oh, damn it, hey, come back to my house, I got it, it's right here. On the contrary, dealers would give people way too much sometimes, and when the person would say, hey, you gave me too much, the dealer would say, hey, just get me back later. And when you say, okay, no big deal, they've got you. Now you owe them a favor and they got you on a line like a fish. Remember what I said about predators don't play by normal people's rules? This is the perfect example of that. They know most people are too polite or too shy to turn them down to their face, and they take full advantage of that. In that moment, you have to push them off. You have to be firm. If you have to, you scream at it and you say, get the fuck out of my way. I don't want another drink. Get off me. And you keep moving. Develop strong boundaries and do not worry about their feelings, because you don't owe them anything. So you're walking up to your friend's apartment building, and at the entrance, there's a guy fumbling with the lock to the entrance door. As you walk up to the door, he turns to you and says, man, we picked the wrong time to come home. This keypad's acting up again. We're probably gonna have to call the Uber or find another way in. I don't know what we're gonna do. Now, did you catch the subtle thing he just did? He conveniently said we have to work together to get the lock open. By saying we, he immediately categorized you two together as partners in this. Completely outside of your intentions or your will, he's just created a false shared goal. You both want to get inside the apartment, and he's just manufactured a reason for you to stand close to him and work together in a common task. But here's the distraction. While you're focusing on the door, you're unaware of his hands and his close proximity to your personal space. This works because it creates a social debt that makes you feel like a dick for saying no, effectively overriding your survival intuition. See, predators know this, they're completely aware of it, and that's what makes their tactics so sadistic. In these situations, you have to be as uncomfortably firm as you possibly can. Because the truth is, if you were in that situation, would you be saying things like, hey, we got to get this door open together? Probably not. You would just say, hey, the keypad's stuck again. That is a major red flag, but here's the thing. You cannot let your emotions override your survival instincts. Most of our communication is nonverbal. It's in our eyes, it's in our shoulders. When that dude starts dropping, we gotta do this together, you don't wanna say, oh, and do that. That's the worst thing you can do. You want to say, oh no, there's no we in this situation, homeboy, and you walk off, and if you feel weird enough, you call the cops on him. What I've learned, all these predators who appear to be really tough in the moment, most of them are just grown-up bullies looking for an angle. And the way you get rid of a bully is you ignore them or you shut them down in the moment and bully them right back. You don't owe them your words, you don't owe them an explanation, you certainly don't owe them your personal space. Now here's what you got to remember too. Context absolutely matters. If you're walking up to church to your Sunday school class and there's someone jiggling the door, turns around and says, hey, keypad's locked, we got to figure out a new way in, probably hold off on the mace or don't call the National Guard just yet. It's probably a benign situation. But if you're out here in the middle of the night, if you're all alone on the street, or if you're in an alley somewhere, even if you're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable, these are the things you got to remember. You got to always put yourself first. It really doesn't matter about someone else's feelings in that moment. This is the most common tactic for a predator. If you react aggressively, they're just going to say they were being nice and friendly, no big deal. But if you respond softly, they're going to know they own you in that space. You're on a late night run and you're walking through a park almost back to your house. There's a guy sitting on a bench just minding his own business. Well, as you get within 10 feet of him, he pops up and says, hey, do you have a lighter? Now this next step is crucial and it can make or break this whole situation. Assuming he's a predator, it's obviously not about the lighter. His goal is to slow down your momentum and make you stop. Because if he can just ask you a question and suddenly you stop, that's check number one on the list. What's the next thing he can get you to do? Remember how I said context matters? In this context, it's late at night, there's no one around, you're in a park, there's a random guy on a bench, he's asking you for a lighter. That's weird. The key in this situation is to match their energy. If they come at you aggressively, hey bro, do you have a lighter? You give it right back to them. No, I don't, man. Get out of my face. If they're kind and appear to be friendly, hey, sorry to bother you. Do you have a lighter? You want to match that. Sorry, but I don't. If you come at them aggressive, that could possibly escalate the situation. You don't know who they are. You don't know their mental state. But what's going to happen is if they think they can get you on the hook, you're going to say, no, I don't. Sorry. Then they're going to ask you, well, do you know what time it is? Then when you hesitate some more, you never know. They might grab you. They might ask you for a ride somewhere. And since you've just acquiesced 2 requests from them, What's a third one? They're harmless, right? You got to look at this situation like they're selling a timeshare to you. The timeshare philosophy is they just want to keep you on the line. The longer they have you listening, the more likely you are to buy in the long run. Let's say you don't have a lighter and you don't know what time it is. Okay, well, tell me about your day today. Maybe they compliment you on your haircut and you think, oh, that's sweet. Next thing they know, they want to know what your name is. Are you from around here? Before you know it, one simple gesture of not trying to be rude just turned into someone figuring out who you are, asking you for a ride, taking you home, and the rest is history. I got robbed one night because I did that exact same thing. I was like a minnow in a pond full of sharks. I'm walking down the street, I had my bag, I had my dope, a guy stops me and says, hey bro, do you have a smoke? I thought I was big and tough. I was like, yeah, I got you, bro. In the split second I looked down to reach in my pocket, this guy pulled out a knife and said, give me your fucking bag. What are you gonna do? I gave him my bag. You want to never stop your momentum, because once you stop, you're anchored in that moment. You are much easier to grab, much easier to solicit. And if you'll stop for a small request, the predator knows you are someone who has high social compliance. And to them, you're just like a walking winning lottery ticket. You want to keep your momentum, match their energy, don't accept anything from them, don't give in to a request. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. If they get really pushy and you get really concerned, pull out your phone and call the cops. If you don't have time to pull out your phone, remember this: nuts and nose. You kick him in the nuts, you kick him in the groin, you take your palm, you drive it right into their nose. Best case, you'll kill them. Worst case, they're gonna have a bad time. It doesn't matter, because you're no good to anyone or yourself if they grab you and kidnap you. If all of this sounds foreign to you, that's a really good thing. It means you haven't lived a volatile, crazy life. But here's the thing you gotta remember. Just because you haven't lived a crazy life doesn't mean the next person hasn't. And at the end of the day, psychopaths don't play by society's rules, and they don't care about your feelings. You don't have to give them anything, and you certainly don't owe them anything. Don't be a polite target, be a difficult one. Stay distant, stay aware, and stay safe. If you can relate to this video and you like what you saw, drop me a comment, let me know where you're at. Subscribe for more.